have a crazy one for you today. I saw this on Reddit, and we're back to bad Reddit relationships. And what I think is particularly interesting about this one is I honestly don't have a solution or an answer. I obviously do have an opinion and a bias about which side I take. And I think there are really important takeaways for a relationship, not only for people about to get married, but people who are about to start trying to have children and kind of facilitating those discussions. So I want to read to you a Reddit post that I found. Anyway, welcome back. Sinners, saints, the glories of men, missing, and my fellow ribs. Am I the a-hole for forcing my wife to choose between our marriage and having more kids? My wife and I are both 31, have been married for 8 years, and we have 2 kids, 4 and under together. We've always discussed that the size of our family would depend on how we felt while we were having kids, but we both wanted more than one. I think this is great. First of all, fantastic communication. I think it's hard. Having kids is hard because for a lot of people, it's quite transient. In this time, I feel like this, but in this time, I feel like this. And so to kind of guess how you will feel in the future about having children and about the capacity of the children that you can have, I think is quite difficult. But kudos to them for having some kind of communication beforehand. My husband and I both joked, I think my husband said 15 and I said 10. And so we were like pretty much as many as God gives. That was our philosophy behind it. Which is changing and which gives us fluidity to navigate accordingly. But yes, kudos to this couple, at least for having that discussion before him. After the birth of our second child, I realized I was done and told my wife 2 was it for me. She said that it was okay with her, but that has changed and it's now causing problems. I think my parents went through a similar thing, not to this degree, but yeah, apparently my parents just wanted 2, and then now I have 3 sisters. Well, 2 other sisters. I'm one of 3. 6 or so months ago, my wife told me she wanted at least one more child, and I told her I understood, but I didn't and couldn't do another kid. She asked me what she could do to change my mind. She said we could do daycare 5 days a week, regardless of whether we're working or not. She suggested using our families to babysit more often so we'd have more time off. She suggested that she would go back to her old job so we'd have more money, a job that she hated and was glad to leave, and she swore she would never return to. One she vented about on a regular basis. While I believe she would do it, I don't think that would help us out long term because she'd just be extra stressed. Brother, this woman wants another child. To go back to an old job just to she wants another kid, man. Something deep is going on here. When women make work commitments for jobs that they hate, they're talking seriously. At one point she even suggested I didn't need to be all in for more than the 2 we have, and she'd understand if I was less hands-on with the next baby and child. That horrified me, as it ought, because when she talked about it, she'd understand that the 3rd child would be the one she wanted and not me, and she'd take responsibility for that. I can't imagine having a child and treating them differently. Kudos to him, a man of character in that regard. To even suggest that it would be okay shocked me, and I told my wife that. Well, maybe I wish this would translate to the fact that he realizes how deeply she wants this, but whatever. My reasons for being done are all different from each other, but complete the feeling for me. My wife has already experienced 2 very difficult pregnancies, and when she was pregnant with our younger child, I found it incredibly stressful to juggle everything, especially when she was being hospitalized. I understand that. That's tough. The balancing act between being there for our child who missed their mum like crazy and cried for her, to my wife who needed cheering up and encouragement and support and working full time while also taking care of the kids. Not to mention, during that time, her sister and I had a major disagreement because I didn't step up and babysit for her on 3 different occasions while my wife was in the hospital and I was already balancing a lot. Oh my goodness, terrible family. That's a disagreement we have not recovered from either. Her sister and I are civil but not friendly like we used to be. Another reason is the money. We spend a large amount on childcare already. a fantastic argument for the stay-at-home mum without adding another, then I think of the future and how I want to keep saving for them. One of our kids has some medical issues, and while it's nothing life-threatening, medications are required and that costs money. I want to be able to put them in activities they enjoy, so overall financially I feel more comfortable with us having two. In one part, I understand it's good to be wise and prudent with the resources that you have and to make decisions accordingly. But as you know, if you've been around on this channel for any amount of time, you know that finances change and adjust and adapt according to the situation. For example, I wonder how many holidays this family goes on every year. I wonder how much they spend frivolously in other areas that, if it really came down to it, they may be willing to sacrifice for. On top of that, kids don't need a lot of activities. At one point, I think I was doing 13 different activities throughout the week. My mum finally got fed up because A, I had no gratitude about it, and B, I just was burnt out, and C, I took it all for granted. And there's a sense in which you should give your kids opportunities, but they should be limited opportunities to avoid spoiling them. Anyway, the other part is time. We're already busy and I want to spend time with my wife and kids, both one-to-one time and family time. Some weeks we don't get as much as I'd like, and it's a lot of work parenting small kids. I don't feel like I have the mental energy to add another to the mix. Even thinking about it now makes me feel exhausted. I enjoy the family we have now. It's never too much, but I personally feel like for me it would be, and ignoring one of my kids would not be an option for me. Brother, Bro is definitely a time-based love language guy. I've explained this all to my wife, and she still believes we can figure something out and can make us both happy or work out for us both. Prior to 6 months ago, we had discussed my getting a vasectomy, and I even booked a consult to discuss it. My wife told me she wanted me to put it on hold when this discussion came up. And now we've reached a point where my wife has admitted to me that while she doesn't want a divorce, she resents my refusal to give in and will resent me if I don't have more children with her, at least one more. She told me she won't be able to help it because she feels this burning desire for more kids. She told me I won't even try her compromises. I told her it's too late to compromise when a child is already here. I told her we can't take a third child back, and I can't be a dad who up their kids by ignoring one or more. So I told my wife she needed to make a decision once and for all, accept having two kids and work through any resentment so we can try to stay married or end our marriage and she can find someone else to have a third child with. I told her I'm firmly done. Whoa. My wife told me this is not fair to give her an ultimatum like this. Maybe she's right, but she wants to deal with this between us and nobody else. And for 6 months, we have made no progress. She's just growing to resent me more every day because I won't give her a third child. Am I the a-hole? Brother. Yeah, obviously you know what side I am on. The side of the mum. I think this is something that she won't be able to work through. It's something that's burning desire within her. You can't easily put that away, and you can't easily reconcile that. She's a woman who's meant to have more kids now. If she's not going to get... I've seen in many women, if they don't get them ethically, getting them unethically, whether that's through stealthing, divorce, and remarriage, stuff like that. This is the thing, living in a godless world is hard because at least you have principles with coming to parenting, marriage, and family. I think, either he gives in, she has a kid, he resents her, he refuses a kid, she resents him, and will probably seek means other than him to obtain the child. Everyone's going to lose either way, and that's really tough. I think it's helpful knowing that God has principles in these regards, that children are a blessing, and ideally inclined to more family where it's possible. Either way, they both need to go to counselling. And this would be a lot easier within a solid biblical church with people who can love and support them and provide insight. The advice in the comments, of course, is pure Reddit content. It's just picking apart the wife. It's just content like that. I don't know. Going to Reddit for your advice isn't super helpful, but I think there are some important takeaways. A, marriage is holy. Work through this. If you're in a situation like this, work through it. It would be worse to divorce, in my mind. Well, I think there is an argument where biblically it'd be worse to divorce in this situation than acquiescing to the other. Of course, who is right in that? You need to be chatting with a solid elder, pastor, or biblical counsel who knows you well. Number 2, kids are a blessing. Have lots of them. Have as many as you can. It says be fruitful and multiply, not add or, equalize. Thirdly, before marriage, you can't guarantee the opinions of the other on child rearing after you're married. But if you are thinking about getting married, if you're currently courting someone, or even if you're in the engagement period, you should have had this conversation already, but sit down, have a really, really, really in-depth conversation about kids, because you may not get the chance later and you may be stuck in a really tough situation like this guy. I'm on for this dude. It's really tough. Everyone's recommending him secretly get a vasectomy, which is gross to me, but I hope they figure it out. We'll see. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down below. Grace and peace from our Lord and Saviour, and have a fantastic day.